The ancient Earth relay, long thought to be abandoned, suddenly activates, sending a signal that ripples through the galaxy. Warships, alien and human alike, immediately turn toward it, setting the stage for a confrontation that will change the course of history. But what lies within the relay is a message and a danger no one expects. The silence in the alien War Council chamber was suffocating. The members of the Council, once the pinnacle of the galaxy's power, sat frozen in place, their eyes wide, as the first flicker of static filled the holoscreen. At first, they dismissed it as a glitch and insignificant anomaly, perhaps the result of a failed signal. But then the static cleared, and an unmistakable pattern emerged. "Impossible," muttered the council leader, his voice low, betraying a hint of disbelief. On the screen, a signal, old and faded, began to pulse in the void, like a heartbeat from the grave. It was a message, a call to the galaxy, one that had been dormant for thousands of years. The old Earth relay, long abandoned and thought to be destroyed, was active once more. The council's youngest member, eager and brash, sneered. "This can't be real. Earth was forgotten, destroyed. Why would their relay suddenly come online?" The elder alien, whose species had once ruled the galaxy, stood in silence, his ancient eyes narrowing. He had known the implications of this moment even before the others did. The galaxy had long since written off Earth, as had humanity. But now the relay had been triggered, and that meant only one thing. Earth was calling back. "This isn't just a signal," the elder said, his voice filled with grim recognition. "It's a summons. They have returned." The room erupted in confusion. Alien warships, already stationed across the galaxy, began to adjust their courses in response to the signal. The sudden resurgence of the Earth relay was more than a relic from the past. It was a challenge, a reminder of a power that had once shaken the stars. On the human warship, Commander Jace Warren stood at the helm, his gaze fixed on the screen. In front of him, the relay signal had reached them too, and it pulsed with a force that he could feel deep within his chest. He knew what this meant. The Earth relay had been dormant for millennia, a beacon that had once sent humanity's voice across the stars, calling for help, for survival. Now it was active once more. "Commander," Ferris said, his voice tight with anticipation. "The signal, it's coming from the relay. It's older than anything we've ever encountered." Jace's mind raced. This wasn't just some forgotten technology. This was Earth's last message, its final call to the universe. Humanity had been lost, scattered to the winds. The last remnants of Earth had survived in the shadows, waiting for a time to return. And now that time had come. Set a course. "For the relay," Jace ordered, his voice steady but filled with purpose. "We're going to find out what they're saying. No one gets to claim Earth's legacy but humanity." The alien fleets began to mobilize. Their ships, sleek and advanced, glided through space with precision, all turning toward the signals. Source: the reaction was swift, coordinated. Everyone in the galaxy who held any power felt the pull. The message from the Earth relay was undeniable. It demanded attention. And it demanded action. "Commander, the fleet's heading in the same direction," one of the Council's tactical officers reported. "They've locked on to the source." The Council leader slammed his fist against the table, his frustration mounting. "We cannot let them reach it first. If Earth has returned, if the relay has activated, we must act. This cannot be a simple message. It must be something more. We must control it." The alien forces, once confident in their dominance over the galaxy, now found themselves at a crossroads. The human signal, dormant for so long, now had the power to reshape everything. The arrogance that had long defined their rule suddenly seemed fragile. They had no choice but to make a move, to answer the call or risk being rendered irrelevant. Back on the warship, Jace's crew worked quickly, preparing for what they would find at the relay. The silence of space was broken by the hum of the engines, a rhythmic beat that echoed in Jace's chest. This wasn't just a signal. It was a warning, a challenge, a call to arms. The galaxy had forgotten humanity, but now they would be reminded. As they neared the relay, the view screen flickered, and a holographic map of the relay's coordinates appeared. The relay was a massive structure, ancient and powerful. It had been abandoned, but it still pulsed with energy, as if waiting for this moment. A single question echoed in Jace's mind. What was waiting for them inside? "We're almost there," Ferris said, his voice calm but filled with urgency. "What are we looking for, Commander?" Jace stood silent for a moment, his fingers gripping the edge of the console. "We're looking for humanity's voice. Whatever's inside, we take it. No one else gets to claim Earth's legacy. Not now, not ever." The human fleet arrived at the relay just as the alien forces began to close in. The signal from Earth had drawn them all in, and now the race was on. The relay's power was undeniable, and as the ships gathered in orbit, the vastness of the station loomed ahead. The relay's pulse intensified, brighter, more urgent. And in the silence of space, something stirred within the station. A voice, ancient and forgotten, began to echo across the ships. It was Earth's final message. And it was only just beginning. The message from Earth was clear, but it was not one that could be ignored. As the relay flickered and hummed, Jace felt the weight of humanity's legacy pressing down on him. The galaxy was about to face something they hadn't prepared for. And that was before Earth even responded. The human fleet entered orbit around the Earth relay, a quiet tension building in the command center of the warship. Commander Jace Warren stood before the massive view screen, his eyes scanning the ancient structure that now pulsed with energy. The relay, once thought to be a forgotten relic, was alive once again, its dormant power resonating through space. JACE single quotes S. Hand tightened on the console. The magnitude of the moment was not lost on him. This was Earth's voice, finally speaking after millennia of silence. Humanity had fought for survival, for a place among the stars, and now the galaxy would know who they were. The old world was gone, but its legacy was still alive, burning brightly within the heart of the relay. "Commander," Ferris' voice broke through the stillness. "We've arrived. The relay is active. We're getting a response." Jace didn't need to turn around to know that the rest of the fleet was in position. The alien forces had arrived too. They were closing in like vultures circling over a carcass, eager to seize what they could. But Jace knew that Earth's legacy was not for them to claim. It was for humanity to reclaim. The view outside the warship's windows was breathtaking. The Earth relay, massive and towering, seemed almost to glow with an unnatural light. It had been built eons ago, before humanity's fall, before they were forgotten. Now it hummed with energy, as though it had been waiting for this moment to come to life again. "It's time," Jace murmured, his gaze unwavering from the relay. "Prepare the team for boarding. We're going in." The command center buzzed with activity as the crew moved into action, readying the warship for the delicate operation. Jace felt the weight of the moment. They weren't just here to investigate. They were here to stake their claim. The relay was a part of Earth, a piece of their lost heritage. And no alien force would take it from them. On the bridge of the alien flagship, the situation was equally tense. The council leader stood before the projections, his face a mask of fury and frustration. The human fleet had arrived, and they were making their move toward the relay. The fleet, once the pinnacle of their civilization's might, was now forced into a race against time. "Why are we letting them board first?" one of the council members demanded, his voice laced with contempt. This is a relic of their fallen empire. We should take it now while we have the chance." The council leader turned, his expression cold. "You underestimate them. The humans are not like other species. They have learned to survive through every hardship. We can't afford to make the same mistake again." "They're just scavengers," the young council member snapped. "What could they possibly know about the power within the relay?" "Everything," the elder replied, his voice low and full of weight. "They may have lost their home, but they did not lose their intellect. The relay is connected to their very survival. It is more than just a communication device, it is a key." The younger council member frowned, unsure of what the leader meant. "A key to what?" "A key to understanding what happened to them," the council leader said, his voice tinged with an emotion that none of the others could place. "And perhaps a key to what lies ahead. Humanity's silence, it was not a passive one. They were waiting." The leader's words hung in the air, unanswered. The fleet of alien ships hovered at a distance, waiting, watching. The council members were divided, some eager to claim the relay, others unsure of what it would mean for their future. The thought of humanity's return was unsettling after all. The galaxy had believed they were gone, wiped from existence. But now the humans were back, and they were determined to make their presence known. Jace's boots clanged against the metal floor of the relay's docking bay as he led his team toward the entrance. The warship had landed, its engines powering down, and now the door to the relay's heart was within reach. The team moved quickly, their movements sharp and coordinated. Each member was armed, prepared for anything they might find inside. But Jace's mind wasn't on the mission. His thoughts were elsewhere, focused on the beacon of hope that had suddenly reappeared from the void. The door slid open with a hiss, revealing the massive chamber within. The relay's interior was like nothing Jace had ever seen. The walls were lined with ancient technology, glowing with an eerie, otherworldly light. The air was thick with static, and a deep hum reverberated through the space dot as Jace and his team entered the chamber. The lights flickered, and the relay's core began to pulse with increasing intensity. It was as if the entire structure was awakening, responding to their presence. A voice echoed through the chamber, an almost imperceptible whisper that sent chills down Jace's spine. It was the voice of Earth humanity's lost voice. But it was not just a voice of the past. It was a message, a warning, and a promise all at once. The voice spoke in a language Jace didn't understand, but he could feel its power. The message was clear. The galaxy is changing, and you will either be a part of it or you will be swept away. Jace's breath caught in his throat. The relay had not just sent a signal. It had opened a doorway that led to something far greater than humanity had ever imagined. The air crackled with energy as the team stepped forward, their movements slow and cautious. Jace's fingers brushed against the edge of a glowing console, and the entire chamber seemed to respond, vibrating with power. The relay's true purpose was now clear. It was not just a beacon for humanity. It was a beacon for all who had forgotten Earth. This isn't just a message, Jace whispered, his voice full of awe. This is a call to arms. The alien fleet hovered at the edge of the system, observing the human warship. They could not hear the message from the relay, but they could feel its intensity, its power. And as they watched, they knew one thing for sure. The game had changed. The hum of the Earth relay seemed to grow louder with every passing second. Jace Warren stood at the console, his fingers lightly grazing the glowing surface. The message was still echoing in his mind, reverberating like a forgotten dream. It wasn't just a distress signal. It was a call of summons to all who had forgotten humanity. But who or what was calling them, and why now? The crew behind him worked quickly, their eyes glued to the holographic screens displaying incomprehensible data. The relay's inner workings were far more advanced than any technology they had ever encountered. The interface responded to their touch, the symbols on the console shifting and changing, revealing fragments of a language long since lost. The hum around them intensified, a pulse that seemed to match the beating of their own hearts. "Commander," Ferris called, his voice tight with urgency. "I think I found something. A hidden sequence. It's embedded within the signal." Jace turned to see his officer's face illuminated by the blue glow of the console. Ferris's expression was a mix of concentration and disbelief. "What's the sequence?" Jace asked, his voice steady despite the tension in the air. "It's a set of coordinates," Ferris replied. "Not just any coordinates. They're pointing to a location deep in the heart of uncharted space, far beyond the galaxy's edge." It's impossible." Jace's mind raced. The Earth relay had been silent for thousands of years, but now it was active. Why had it chosen this moment to speak? And why were the coordinates hidden within the message? What was waiting for them out there, beyond the edges of the known galaxy? "Set a course for the coordinates," Jace ordered. "We're going there. We need to know what's waiting for us." On the alien flagship, the Council leader's gaze was fixed on the holographic projection of the human warship. The relay signal had rattled their forces, but it wasn't just the humans that concerned them. The fact that the humans had unlocked something hidden within the relay, something far beyond their understanding, was a matter of great concern. They had no idea what the relay's message truly meant, but they couldn't afford to let it fall into the hands of the humans. "Prepare the fleet," the Council leader commanded, his voice low and resolute. "If the humans are going to that location, we will follow. We will not allow them to uncover something we cannot control." The room was filled with murmurs of agreement as the rest of the Council members exchanged nervous glances. They had never considered humanity a true threat, not until now. The return of Earth's relay was an unexpected wild card. And whatever the humans were about to find, they couldn't let them do it alone. "Send word to our allies," the leader continued. "We need reinforcements. The humans may have awakened something ancient, something far more dangerous than we ever realized." Back on the human warship, the crew prepared for the journey into the unknown. The coordinates from the relay had been set, and the ship was now en route, slipping through the void of space toward a location that had been hidden for millennia. As Jay stared out the viewport, he couldn't shake the feeling that they were heading towards something far larger than they could comprehend. The universe was full of mysteries, but this was something different. This was something Earth had left behind, something humanity had forgotten. "Commander, we're approaching the outer edge of known space," Ferris reported, his voice calm, but there was a hint of anxiety. "The sensors are picking up strange readings. It's unlike anything we've encountered before." Jace's eyes narrowed as he turned to the viewport. The stars ahead seemed to distort, the familiar patterns shifting and warping as though something immense and powerful was lurking just beyond the veil of the known universe. It was as if the space itself was bending, twisting under the weight of whatever lay ahead. "Hold steady," Jace said, his voice unwavering. "We're not backing down now. Whatever's waiting for us, we face it head on." On the bridge of the alien flagship, the fleet began to move. Their ships, sleek and formidable, slipped through space toward the same coordinates. The Council leader stood at the helm, watching as their forces aligned with the human fleet. The old rivalry between their species was now secondary. They couldn't allow humanity to find whatever lay hidden out there. The knowledge of what had been left behind was too dangerous to be wielded by anyone, especially not by those they had once considered beneath them. The fleet moved forward, a shadow in the distance, gaining speed as it approached the unknown. The stars outside the viewport flickered and dimmed as if the universe itself was holding its breath. No one knew what they would find, but one thing was certain, whatever it was. It would change everything. We have to be ready, the council. Leader muttered, more to himself than anyone else. If we're not, everything we've built will be lost. The human warship continued its approach to the coordinates, and the strange readings intensified. The crew could feel the tension mounting. Whatever was out there, it was more than just a signal. It was an invitation. And it was drawing them in like a moth to the flame. Jay stood at the command center, his fingers hovering over the controls. He knew the risks. He knew that whatever awaited them out there could be far more dangerous than anything they had faced before. But humanity had come this far. They had survived when they shouldn't have. They had returned when they were forgotten. We're about to cross the threshold, Ferris said, his voice tight with anticipation. Brace for impact. The warship's engines roared as they approached the unknown. The coordinates from the relay led them to a vast empty space, a region where no ship had ever ventured. The air in the command center seemed to thrum with the energy of anticipation. Every member of the crew knew that they were about to uncover something ancient, something hidden. And no one knew what would happen when they found it. The stars began to fade, and a massive object appeared in the distance, a structure so large, so complex, that it seemed to distort the very fabric of space around it. Take us in, Jace ordered. The warship surged forward, drawn to the structure like a magnet. And as they drew closer, Jace realized the full weight of what they had uncovered. This wasn't just a relic from Earth's past. It was the key to the future. The human warship hovered in orbit around the massive structure, its colossal form stretching across the dark void of space. The object was unlike anything Jace Warren had ever seen. It wasn't a station, nor a ship, but a monolithic structure, ancient, silent, and somehow pulsing with a strange, otherworldly energy. The air around it seemed to hum with life, a subtle vibration that resonated deep within the ship's hull. JACE single quotes. Sand gripped the armrest of his chair. The tension in the command center was palpable, the crew working in near silence as they observed the structure. They had made it here, against all odds, and now they were about to uncover the truth. Commander, Ferris said, his voice sharp with urgency, we're getting some kind of feedback. It's coming from inside the structure. It's trying to communicate. Jay stood, his eyes fixed on the screen. The structure wasn't just passive. It was alive. There was something within it, something trying to reach them, to pull them in. The symbols flickered across the screens, familiar and yet foreign. The Earth relay signal had been a key, and now it was unlocking something much greater. Get the team ready, Jace ordered. We're going inside. The boarding team prepared quickly, moving with the precision that had become second nature. Jace's boots clicked sharply against the cold metal of the ship's hallways as he made his way to the airlock. The doors opened with a hiss, revealing the team standing at the ready, their faces set with grim determination. They had come this far. Now they would find out what lay within the heart of the structure. The airlock doors slid open to reveal an empty space that seemed to stretch for miles. The interior was vast, its walls smooth and undulating as if the structure itself was breathing. Pulsing lights, faint and steady, illuminated their path as they moved deeper inside. The entire place felt like it was waiting for them to unlock its secrets. What is this place? Ferris whispered, his voice barely audible in the vast silence. Jace's voice was steady. This is the key to Earth's future. And the galaxies. They moved forward, their steps echoing in the hollow chamber. It wasn't just a building. It was a relic of an ancient civilization, one far older than anything humanity had known. The walls were covered in intricate carvings, symbols that spoke of a past long forgotten. Some of them were familiar fragments of Earth's own history, long erased from the galaxy's collective memory. As they ventured deeper, the structure seemed to shift around them as if responding to their presence. The carvings on the walls glowed faintly, and the hum of the energy grew louder. Jace's fingers brushed against a panel embedded in the wall. It seemed to react, its surface flickering with light before revealing a holographic map, a map of the galaxy, but unlike any map they had seen before. It was a star chart, but it was incomplete, fractured in places. "This map," Ferris said, "it shows more than the galaxy. It shows everything. Ancient civilizations, uncharted space. There are markers here that don't exist anywhere else." Jace's pulse quickened as he absorbed the implications. The structure wasn't just a key, it was a blueprint. It was the history of the universe, of everything that had come before humanity's rise. It held the secrets of the galaxy, the knowledge that could reshape everything. But it wasn't just history. The map led to something at the edge of the unknown, a place that had been hidden for eons. And Jace knew, without a doubt, that it was calling them there. "We have to go there," Jace said, his voice full of resolve. "Whatever's waiting, we need to find it." But just as he spoke, the hum of the structure changed. A shudder ran through the walls, and a voice echoed through the chamber, low and guttural, ancient and unmistakably alien. "Humans." The voice intoned, its resonance filling the air. "You have unlocked what should never have been found. And now the galaxy will never be the same." Jace's eyes widened. The alien fleet had arrived. They had been waiting, lurking in the shadows, drawn to the same place. The voice was a warning, but it was also an invitation. The fate of the galaxy now hung in the balance. The doors to the chamber slammed shut, sealing them inside. The map, now pulsing with an eerie light, flickered one last time before going dark. The structure was alive, and it had chosen them. Outside, the alien warships moved into position, their weapons primed. The humans had unlocked the galaxy's greatest secret. But now, they would face the consequences. Jace's voice was calm, but his heart pounded with the weight of what was to come. "Prepare for battle. We fight for humanity's future, for our legacy. No one gets to control this but us." As the ship's engines roared to life, Jace felt the full weight of their situation. The galaxy had been reshaped, and now the final act was about to unfold.